Hello friends, I am Kaustubh. Before we move ahead to look at the important points from editorials of today's newspaper, let me request you to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video as much as possible, and do not forget to drop your comments in the comment box. Let us look at the first editorial. The first editorial speaks about nutrition security, the state globally as well as in India. The context is the United Nations State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World Report 2017. What this report speaks about is that throughout the last decade, the progress that was achieved globally in reducing undernourishment is now reversing. This is a troubling development that in 2016, the numbers are showing that undernourishment is increasing in the world. What are the reasons? The report highlights four major reasons. One, the state of global economy. The economy has not recovered completely from the crisis in the past. So, economic development is also resulting into undernourishment of the people. Second, it is about violence and political instability. West Asia, Southeast Asia, in Latin America, at many places, because and especially Africa, because of political instability and associated violence, this violence is resulting into food insecurity for the population. So this is the second reason. Third is decreased commodity export. So throughout global trade, we know that what is happening presently is the trade war, and also wave of protectionism and anti-globalization is very prominently seen throughout the world. This xenophobia is also responsible for reducing exports, and this is a reason which is associated with rise in undernourishment. Last, it is about the failure of agriculture. In agriculture, we have seen that the development of agriculture as a sector has been such that it has been exposed completely to this global warming, climate change and associated vagaries of nature. That has resulted into increase in the frequency and intensity of floods as well as droughts throughout the globe. Because of this, food insecurity is a prominent issue. Now, these are the reasons. Apart from that, there are certain important points that you need to prepare for examination regarding this issue. Next is the concept of deprivation. When we speak about deprivation, it means damaging lack of material benefits considered to be basic necessities in the society. So when basic necessities are not available, this lack of basic amenities results into deprivation, and this sense of deprivation is also responsible for this undernourishment. Next, it is the concept of malnutrition. Either way, for India, you need to prepare about malnutrition, you need to prepare about the causes, the types, how it is measured, and what steps the government has taken and what needs to be done to reduce this malnutrition in the country, especially, not only in India, throughout the region. Next, it is the concept of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. It is given here. These SDGs are very crucial. There are only, now 12 years left for the fulfillment of these SDGs. We need to be thorough with all the 17 SDGs associated especially with food security and hunger, poverty, and then SDGs associated with children. And then we need to evaluate what is the performance of India vis-a-vis these SDGs, right? So this is important for the examination. Next, it is about the Global Hunger Index that is released by IFPRI, International Food Policy Research Institute. So the latest IFPRI report, that is Global Hunger Index, we need to study in the context of position of India and performance of India on this index. Next, it is about the National Food Security Act. When we speak about National Food Security Act, we need to be prepared with the provisions of this act, how it has been implemented and to what extent it has been implemented by various states of India, and what are the pros and cons or criticisms in its implementation. Next, we need to study the role of various government schemes which are associated with malnutrition. So it can be midday meal scheme, it can be the Janani Suraksha Yojana, it can be the number of schemes like ICDS. So we need to prepare about this PDS, we need to prepare about government welfare schemes which have an impact on malnutrition. Next, it is the role of education, role of awareness, and role of development of livelihood opportunities for people on undernourishment. Next, it is also the use of technology, because technology can ensure adequate delivery, the distributive justice with respect to food. So, role of technology. Next, we also need to figure in the role of social discrimination in a country like India when we speak about undernourishment. Especially, you can see 53% of women are anemic. Health Ministry data shows. So when we speak about 53% women, half or more than half of women being anemic, this is not just availability or accessibility of food. This is about the social customs which keep women at the bottom of family when it comes to access to food. So this is about discrimination, social issue, than just availability of food. Next is the concept of food security. Overall, the way Food and Agricultural Organization FAO defines food security, we need to be prepared with the concept of food security, the dimensions of food security, and then what are the reasons why food security is in danger. Next, it is about the question that can be raised in mains is about whether we need overhaul of PDS so that we make PDS universalization, I mean universal scheme. So is PDS better as targeted scheme, or we should make it universalized? So that is the next issue that can be raised. Also associated issue is about universal basic income. So in Switzerland, I think there was a concept that was brought in a few years ago. Even economic survey dealt with as a separate chapter in the past. It was universal basic income. So do we need such a scheme of universal basic income so that food security is taken care of? Next, it is about the recent Niti Aayog report. It has found that families below the poverty line consume more cereals and less milk compared to the affluent. So obviously, the PDS takes care of only cereals or carbohydrate requirement. But when it comes to fats or even proteins, that is completely neglected. And because of this, the deficiency in nutrition and the concept of hidden hunger is very crucial in the population of India. Next, the issue can be about obesity, the rise of non-communicable diseases, and the tools that the government may use in the form of taxation, like fat tax of Kerala. So all these issues are related to this article. I request you to prepare all this in thoroughly for the examination. The next article deals with the OPEC. So here what we need to prepare is OPEC as an organization. It is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So it's a cartel. This is a cartel because they tightly control the amount of petroleum that is produced and that is sold. So the reason for present increase in crude oil is also related to the inability of OPEC to scale up the production of crude. So higher prices of crude globally benefit OPEC as a cartel. So we need to prepare about the organization completely, even the members, because in prelims there have been questions regarding OPEC as membership. Next, the standards of crude. So there has been question in prelims in the past about Brent crude. So here again one benchmark is mentioned, WTI crude. So we need to prepare in detail about what this WTI crude is and how it is different from other crude oils. Next, this issue is also related to the geopolitics of oil. So what happens in Iran, what happens with North Korea, what happens in Iraq, all this is related, or Syria, that is related to the production of crude oil. Even South China Sea, Malacca Straits, and the piracy issue, everything is related to the flow of oil throughout the world as trade. So this is important. Next is with respect to India, we need to know that we depend heavily on imports for our requirement of crude. So India has established 3 strategic reserves. We need to study about them. We need to study about the pricing of petroleum in our country, and then the integrated energy policy of India, along with the concept of energy mix that was given by the erstwhile Planning Commission. So these are all the points that are regarding this article. They are important for examination. The next editorial that we see is the tools for counting. It is about census. The context is 2021 census is nearing now. The preparations would begin very soon. And when we speak about this census, we need to really take a serious stand that we need to conduct a caste census also along with this general census. So just to give you the context, government did not include caste in 2011 census, or the only census that measured caste was 1931 census, which was conducted by the British. After that, we have never measured caste as a part of census. However, there was a demand to include caste in census, so the government had conducted an ad hoc socio-economic and caste census, SECC. However, it was flawed in its implementation. Because of this, the data is questionable. Still, whatever data has been obtained, government has not been very forthcoming to release this data transparently, objectively outside. Why this issue is crucial? But because one, the welfare schemes, reservation, discrimination in the Indian society is determined on the basis of caste, one. Second, what we need is a transparent or objective criteria. This is the need of the time, because present schemes that the government is implementing and the present positive action for affirmative action regarding reservations, it is also based on caste numbers. But the numbers that we use were the numbers that were obtained from 1931 census. So 21st century India has completely changed. Also, the caste metrics in terms of power dynamics has also changed. So the issue of landholding, the occupations, so everything, the social relationships between communities have undergone drastic change. for the last nearly 100 years. So because of this, it is a need that we have a transparent, objective measurement of caste as a part of census. Now, context of 21st century is different. We have seen, and we have also seen that when we speak about the affirmative action from the side of state, there has been the way economic survey has spoken about the exit problem of Indian economy. We also have an exit problem in Indian society. So all the castes that are, or subgroups that are included in under backward castes today are not willing to give away the tag. So this is regressive. That is the reason why we need a open system, revolving door system, where on the basis of objective criteria, people can be included as backward, and they, when their status increases, they can be removed from the list. So for this, we need to have a dialogue, discussion in the country, and objective criteria that will come through a proper measurement through census. Next, it is that it can be, this issue of caste and census can be considered as a test of Indian democracy, that how Indian democracy manage these fractures in the society if the transparent data is brought about. So it will be a test of Indian democracy. Next, it is, we need a parliamentary mechanism where all the political parties through consensus evolve this mechanism. Then role of technology is also crucial, because data, right, newer techniques of data analytics, big data is coming up, so it can be used or harnessed to measure and get accurate numbers about various caste subgroups and also their economic status. Next, it is about the role of deprivation and disadvantage. So we need to determine the extent of deprivation and disadvantage, and caste is one of the metrics, as said by Supreme Court in Indira Savni judgment. But now we also need to have other parameters where backwardness can be transparently, neutrally judged, right? So this is about this article. Next, we move to the next article. It is about the cow vigilante groups. But just then restricting ourselves to this cow vigilante groups, we will have a discussion at a bit more broader level. The recent incident, Hapur, Uttar Pradesh, of targeting some traders, Muslim traders. So what are the issues that are raised in this article? Whatever are important points, I have already marked them, so you can use them in examination. Apart from that, for mains especially, what are the issues raised by this article? First, it is moral policing. So in India, we see number of incidents where moral policing is carried out by vigilante groups. This is related to honor killing. This is regarding people spending time together in parks, and this is also regarding cow. So this is one issue. Second issue is majoritarianism. When we speak about majoritarianism, it's a threat. We have a democracy which respects which is based on rule of majority. But majority, the concept of majority in terms of democracy is not rigid. So majority is not a rigid group based on religion or language. So these are fluid categories in a democracy. So they are objective issue-based majorities and minorities which are fluid, and they go on changing with reference to the issue in question. However, when we speak about majoritarianism, this is a major threat, because if we try to determine patriotism or national identity on the basis of cultural identity, then obviously minorities have something to fear for. So national identity and patriotism, this is the next issue that is crucial here. Next, it is the principle of Gandhi, non-violence, and the relevance of Gandhi to the present century. So that is also a question that can be asked, especially in mains and essay. For ethics also it is important. Next, it is the role of economic stresses. It has been observed, there was a study which was done in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. It was done by Ahmed, an engineer, if I'm not wrong. And these psychologists, when they study the communal riots and their occurrence, it was clearly found that wherever the minorities are getting very powerful economically and posing a challenge economically to the majority community, then there is a backlash from majority. Even in Dalit violence, we have seen that wherever Dalits try to assert their identity, then there is a backlash from the so-called higher caste. So the point of economy and livelihood has to be understood, that whenever there is pressure on jobs, pressure on economy, then these fractures become visible in the society and the violence is result. Apart from that, we have other angle also. It is political. So political violence is also a reason why this, or political backing is also a reason why this violence crops up in society. Next, it is the issue of the legitimacy of state. So whenever there is vigilante violence or moral policing, the state needs to assert its neutrality, because justice, it is rightly said that justice should not only be done, it should also seem to be done. So Caesar's wife, the state should always be above suspicion. So it is the duty of the state to protect its legitimacy and act neutrally in these cases. Ultimately, it can be said that in a multi-diverse or multi-religious society like India, in the diverse society like India, it is the responsibility of majority, majorly, to ensure that the minorities feel safe. So this is the thought that has been expressed here, and I believe that is rightfully done so. The next article that we discuss here is about Kashmir. The writer here has raised multiple points. So the first is the Pakistani angle. Always when we speak about Jammu Kashmir, the role of Pakistan and its shady agencies cannot be done away with. Second, the priority for government should not be to just highlight external threat, and priority should not be just military strategy to tackle Jammu Kashmir, because the point being, Jammu Kashmir presently, Indian state of Jammu Kashmir is divided into three regions: Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, and three are dominated by different religions. So Ladakh is majorly Buddhist, Kashmir is dominated by Islam, and Jammu by Hindu religion. So when we use excessive military force, or when we try to play one region against another, in long term it is going to be a threat to unity and integrity of the country. So this should be avoided. Next, the trust deficit and legitimacy of the state is a big question here. The writer very rightfully, through various scholars, with the help of books and scholars, has raised the issue that the issue of trust deficit and legitimacy of the government needs to be taken care of. Also, the writer has raised the issue about the narratives, social narratives. So in the state like Jammu and Kashmir, I've stayed there in the conflict zone for nearly 10 days. I can authentically say that the point is, the narrative that has been built up, it is anti-India. When this narrative, the stories or the psychosocial arrangement is such that the collective psyche sees India as an enemy, or collective psyche sees India as an oppressor, then it becomes difficult. The collective consciousness of the society goes against the country or national sentiment. So here we need to work with a firm hand to tackle militancy, no doubt about it. But along with it, we also need empathy, sensitive government, so that the developmental aspects and political participation of the people are also taken care of. So this is about the article here. Next, we deal with the next issue. It is about responsibility to protect. So the entire article is based on this concept of R2P. It is called responsibility to protect. So this article raises certain important issues. I would highlight them again. First, it is the concept of humanitarian intervention. This is very problematic because we have seen that the Western powers do it to fulfill their own foreign policy agenda rather than actually protecting the people. So this concept of responsibility to protect and this humanitarian intervention, both should be studied deeply and should be rejected, because R2P was derived from 2001 report by a high-powered commission at the behest of UN Secretary General, became the linchpin of humanitarian intervention argument. So this is wrong. Next, ethics in international relations, that is your syllabus. Next issue is about role of foreign policy in humanitarian intervention. Obviously, the Western powers fulfill their own foreign policy narrow national interest as compared to the wider humanitarian interest. Next, it is about undemocratic instrument called veto in the United Nations. So it also raises a question about reforms in UN, especially Security Council. So that are long pending. After 70 years of, we have seen that UN has nearly not performed up to the expectation when it comes to stopping this humanitarian crisis throughout the world. So rightfully, I would quote Justice Chalameshwar, who recently retired from Supreme Court. He had quoted in NJC judgment, his dissenting judgment, Macaulay. So Macaulay's principle of reform that you may preserve is very, very relevant to United Nations today. So the important points are marked in this article. Just go through that. Next article is about resourceship. This concept is in economic geography. The views, this refers to economic theory, which views resources like oil and other minerals as assets that are created through application of human effort. I'll just cut the long story short. Basically, it is believed that resources are not, they become. So this is the dictum given by Zimmerman. Resources are not, they become. This means what? This picture helps us. This picture helps us understand it, that when we speak about resources, resources and population, the equation is mediated by technology. So no matter, for example, in ancient age in Sahara, the caravan of traders was moving, but they were not using crude oil because at that time the technology was not available or the population was not ready to utilize that resource. So when we speak about development of resource, it's a equation between three things. It is the resources proper, the natural resources, the population, So there should be optimum population which can use the resource, and then there should be the role of technology. The technology should be able to mediate between these two so that the population is able to utilize the resources available. So this is about Zimmerman. And the last article that we deal with today is about America. So this is a very theoretical article given here. It's about certain books and their finding regarding how America should deal with conflicting motives of keeping its own legitimacy and then using military power for its own hegemony. So you can just go through this. This is all from my side today. I wish you happy studying. Have a very nice day. Thank you.